No matter what time zone you're tuning in from, welcome back to Sip and Talk.
And welcome to the studio, everyone. It is great to be back behind the mic.
I have to say, the energy in here today feels different. Usually when we talk about politics, Japanese politics, we're using words like, incremental, glacial, or my personal favorite, bureaucratic.
Right. The classic, let's form a committee to discuss the possibility of scheduling a meeting approach.
Exactly. But today, I've got my coffee, my notes are spread out, and we are looking at something that really can only be described as a political earthquake, and I'm not using that word lightly.
You rarely do, but in this case, the seismographs definitely picked up something massive.
We're talking about the Japanese House of Representatives election on February 8, 2026, and calling this a victory for Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi. It just feels like a massive understatement.
Like saying a hurricane is a bit breezy.
Yes. This was a table-flipping moment. She didn't just win, she rearranged the furniture in the entire Japanese parliament. It's a historic moment, no doubt. The headlines are calling it a victory tsunami, and when you look at the raw numbers, that metaphor, it actually holds up. It wasn't just a wave, it was a wall of water.
Let's get straight into the wow factor. I was looking at the breakdown for her own constituency in Nara, and I thought it was a typo.
It's pretty staggering.
She pulled in 85% of the vote. 85! That isn't an election. That's a fan meet and greet.
It's the kind of number you expect to see in autocracies, not vibrant democracies. But it really speaks to her stranglehold on that local base.
But the national numbers are even bigger.
And way more significant. The Liberal Democratic Party, the LDP, took 316 seats on their own.
Which is already a huge majority.
It is. But then you add their partner, the Japan Innovation Party, or ISHIN, and they are sitting at a combined 352 seats.
Okay, so for our Sip&Talkers who might not have the Japanese parliamentary chart tattooed on their eyelids, why is that number, 352, so, I don't know, scary or exciting, depending on who you ask?
It's the magic number. It smashes through the two-thirds threshold.
Supermajority.
Exactly. The one you need to propose constitutional amendments. For decades, conservative politicians have whispered about changing the pacifist constitution. They've dreamed about it. Takaichi now has the math to stop whispering and start writing.
So this begs the huge question, and I want to throw this out there right away. Does this mean all of Japan has turned into Takaichi's shape? Has the whole country suddenly decided to go full Iron Lady?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And to understand this landslide, you have to look at the anatomy of the win. It's not as simple as everyone loves the LDP.
Right, because wasn't the LDP kind of unpopular? I remember reading about slush funds and scandals.
They were. Before the election, the LDP's party support was actually hovering pretty low, around 35%. People were tired.
The brand was tarnished.
Absolutely. There were those black money scandals, unreported political funds that really rubbed people the wrong way.
So how do you go from 35% support to a 300-seat landslide? The math doesn't check out.
You make it about the person, not the party. Takaichi's personal support numbers were sky high between 60 and 70%. People weren't voting for the LDP machine. They were voting for Takaichi.
She really leaned into that first female prime minister energy, didn't she?
She did. But it wasn't just, vote for me because I'm a woman. It was vote for me because I'm decisive. Voters were exhausted by the old factions, the backroom deals.
They wanted a break from the status quo.
And she sold decisive leadership.
And the buyers, apparently, were young people. This was the part that made me do a double take. Usually a conservative landslide in Japan, you picture older voters in the countryside.
It's completely counterintuitive. According to the exit polls, among voters under the age of 30, her support was nearly 90%.
Wait, 90%? Come on, that sounds fake. That sounds like a statistic from North Korea. How is that even possible in a free election?
It does sound absurd, doesn't it? But when you dig into it, it actually starts to make sense. It comes down to two things: the medium and the message. First, the medium. She dominated YouTube and social media. She just bypassed the traditional newspapers and the stiff NHK debates. She spoke directly to their feeds.
So she's good at Instagram, but 90%.
It's the message. She packaged these complex, scary ideas like economic security and anti-China policies into a very simple wrapper: determination to protect Japan.
Clarity is a drug, isn't it?
It is. Young people in Japan, they're looking at a shrinking population, a stagnant economy, a threatening neighborhood. They feel anxious.
And the opposition was giving them, nuance?
Vague policies. They were saying, we need to form a committee to look into this. Takaichi looked into the camera and just said, I will protect you.
That's powerful. I have this analogy in my head. It's like voters looked at the options and said, we'd rather have an adventurer with a map than a gatekeeper just standing still.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Even if the adventure is taking us somewhere risky, at least we're moving.
And the youth said, let's go.
But we can't talk about this without mentioning the weather. I love this detail. The snow factor.
It sounds like trivia, but it actually swung the entire election. The vote was held on February 8th, right in the middle of a massive snowstorm.
I can just picture it. Trains stopped, roads icy, miserable.
And usually, bad weather hurts the LDP because their base is older. It's hard for Grandma and Grandpa to get to the polls in a blizzard.
But this time it flipped.
It completely flipped. Because of the youth, and because Takaichi had mobilized the diehard nationalists, they were motivated. They put on their boots and braved the blizzard.
While the undecided stayed home.
The floating voters, the people who might vote for the opposition to balance things out, they looked out the window and said, nope, not today.
So the opposition just got buried in the snow.
Crushed. They fell from about 160 seats down to around 60.
Ouch. So let's pivot to what this actually means. We have this supermajority, but is this really mainstream opinion? Or is it just a perfect storm of snow and YouTube algorithms?
It's a bit of an illusion of consensus.
Like when everyone agrees on a pizza topping just because nobody wants to argue anymore.
A little bit. Think of it like a multiple choice exam. If you walked up to a random person in Tokyo and asked, do you want to amend Article 9 of the Constitution and remilitarize? Many would hesitate.
They'd say, I don't know, or maybe not.
Right, but that wasn't the question on the ballot. The implied question was, do you want a leader who fights inflation and stands up to bullies?
And to that, the answer was a resounding yes. She framed the exam.
She did, and her support really stands on three pillars: security, economy, and identity.
Okay, break goes down.
First, security. People feel unsafe. The geopolitical neighborhood is rough. Nearly 76% of her support comes from people who just expect strong leadership. They want a guard dog.
And the economy?
Sononomics. The stock market loves it. They're calling it the Takaichi Rally. It's fiscal expansion, big spending.
And identity.
It's a desire for a Japan that speaks clearly. No more mumbling on the world stage. They want to be a player, not just a payer.
So, she has the mandate, she has the seats, the ambiguity is gone. What does she do with it? What are the four pillars of this new Takaichi administration? Because she is moving fast.
First and foremost, pro-Taiwan. And we're moving from rhetoric to law.
Yeah. Taiwan emergency is a Japan emergency. Used to be something politicians said to get applause. Now it's entering the legal code.
Takaichi has specifically defined a Chinese maritime blockade of Taiwan as a survival crisis situation for Japan.
Survival crisis situation. That sounds like a movie title, but that's specific legal jargon, isn't it?
It is, and it has big teeth. Legally, that designation allows Japan to exercise collective self-defense.
Okay, can you explain the, I'm 5, collective self-defense?
Sure. Historically, Japan could only shoot back if someone shot at Japan first. Individual self-defense.
Yeah.
Collective means if an ally like the U.S. is getting shot at while trying to defend Taiwan, Japan can jump in and help.
It unbinds the self-defense forces.
That's a massive shift. And politically, now that she doesn't need the pacifist Komeito party as much, she's partnering with the hawkish Ishin party to fortify the Southwest Islands.
Places like Yonaguni and Ishigaki, those islands are incredibly close to Taiwan.
You can see Taiwan from Yonaguni on a clear day. She's turning that archipelago into a shield.
Okay, pillar number 2, the U.S. alliance, and specifically the Trump 2.0 factor.
Trump posted on Truth Social immediately. Landslide victory. He loves a winner.
And Takaichi is heading to the White House next month. What's the deal on the table? Because Trump usually wants something.
It's a strong handshake. Japan is pledging to hit 2% GDP defense spending ahead of schedule. We're talking about 8.9 trillion yen.
Plus, they're buying missiles.
American long-range counter-strike missiles, which is exactly what Trump wants. His demand has always been for allies to pay their share and do the work.
So she's showing up with the receipts.
Saying, we are doing the work, we brought cash, and we brought our own missiles. It puts Japan in a very strong negotiating position. Now, pillar 3, and this is the big one. Confronting the China threat. But we need to be specific here. Why are Japanese voters so angry? It's not just abstract geopolitics.
No, it's specific incidents. If you look at the timeline from early 2026, it's a list of grievances that would make anyone anxious.
Give us the visual. What are people seeing?
January 2026. The wall of ships. China mobilized 2,000 fishing boats, their maritime militia, to form a physical barrier in the East China Sea,
2,000 boats.
a 400-kilometer line, simulating a blockade. Imagine looking out at the horizon, and instead of open ocean, you just see a wall of hulls.
That is not a subtle hint.
That is a megaphone. And it wasn't just physical. There was the info war, the nuclear disinformation campaign.
Right, about the treated water release.
Exactly. Despite the IAE, the global nuclear watchdog, approving it, China persisted in labeling it nuclear waste or contaminated water.
I saw this on social media, fake AI images of mutated fish, oceans turning neon green. It was everywhere. It was intense, and it led to extreme rhetoric online, like hashtags calling to drop a hydrogen bomb on Japan.
Yikes.
Add to that travel warnings, telling their citizens not to go to Japan, and harassment of Japanese schools and businesses in China.
So when we see that statistic, over 80% of Japanese people feel anxiety or aversion toward China, it's not coming out of nowhere.
Precisely. It's a reaction to a wall of ships and a wall of hate. It's cognitive and physical pressure.
Okay, pillar 4. Let's bring it back home. Domestic and economic policy. Japan first.
Sononomics. It's aggressive. She's talking about zero consumption tax on food to help with inflation.
But that would be popular anywhere. Who doesn't want cheaper groceries?
Exactly. And on the security side, strict regulations on foreigners buying land.
Which is a direct response to concerns about foreign entities buying up land near military bases.
Correct. And industrially, she is going all in on chips, GS, and AI. Working with TSMC, pouring money into creating national champion companies. She wants a tech fortress, not just a military one.
So we have a fortified Japan, armed to the teeth, economically aggressive, politically unified. It sounds impressive. But this is where you usually pump the brakes.
I have to. What are the risks?
Yeah. When one person wins 85% of the vote and the opposition is crushed, is there anyone left in the room to say, wait a minute?
That is the risk of the echo chamber. With a 2/3 majority, checks and balances get weaker. And if Sanae fails, if that spending just causes hyperinflation without wage growth, the balloon could pop very quickly.
And there's no backup plan.
There's no backup plan. Then there's the neighborhood, the China context.
Right.
We need to be cool-headed here.
Right.
It's important to state clearly, China is not a cartoon villain. It is a major power with a huge population, legitimate needs for unity, and a desire for prosperity.
Yeah, for their own perspective, their own security concerns, they see this encirclement by the U.S. and Japan as a threat to them.
Of course. And Japan says it wants dialogue. Takaichi said the door is open. The prime minister isn't trying to start a war. But the friction comes from actions that break the rules-based order. The military drills, the blockade simulations, the gray zone coercion. That's where the rubber meets the road.
So Japan's stance is, we aren't provoking you, but we are done being pushed around.
The distinction they're making is defense, not provocation. The goal is stability, not hate. And frankly, the international community, the U.S. and India, they're cheering this on. They see a strong Japan as a necessary balancer.
They want a Pacific that remains free.
And they don't believe a weak Japan can guarantee that.
It feels like Japan is finally stepping out of that post-war shadow. It's no longer low profile. It's resilient, defiant, and armed.
It is a new era. But with great power specifically, 2/3 of the seats comes high stakes. The world is watching to see if she can maintain that delicate balance. Keep the dialogue open while loading the missile silos.
It's a tightrope walk in a snowstorm.
A tightrope walk in a snowstorm. I think that is the perfect image to leave us with.
Well, it's going to be a fascinating few years, and we will be here to cover it every step of the way. Sip and Talkers, thank you for tuning in to this breakdown of the big shift in Japan.
We appreciate you listening.
If you enjoyed this, please make sure you're subscribed to Sip and Talk on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review. It really helps us fight our own algorithm battles.
And before we go, we have a little favor to ask.
Yes. Our old friend Mickey, he has a YouTube channel called Mickey to Life.
Great channel. Very chill vibes.
He just posted a new travel vlog. Now listen, he updates once a week. He's much slower than us.
He takes his time. Quality over quantity.
Exactly. But he is fighting the algorithm, and you know how brutal that can be, so go give him some love so a good guy doesn't get buried.
Search Mickey to Life.
And tell him we sent you. Maybe he'll finally start updating faster if we bug him enough.
Check it out.
All right, that's it for us. Stay curious, stay informed. See you in the next episode.
Take care.